Hi, this is Dr. Mark Verkler, not a medical doctor, but I am very excited to share with you some of the things that I've learned about the coronavirus and about having a strong immune system, because those who have a strong immune system appear to be able to weather it quite well with no severe reactions to it. And so I want to talk about strengthening the immune system and just some of the things that I've learned. Um, on the links below this blog, I'm going to give you several links. One is going to be to an amazing article full of data by a researcher who has researched the numbers on the coronavirus, and he has given us a very encouraging scenario. Also, I want to give you a link over to a chart which shows that the death rate on the coronavirus has been declining tremendously. And the numbers that I get in the newspaper, it's not really numbers about death rate. It's just numbers about more people have contracted the coronavirus. Well, maybe that's because that they're doing more testing now than ever before, and so they're finding out more people have it. And so I'm not sure that I care about that number. What I really care about is, are more people going to the hospital? And that's a good important number. And are more people dying from it? That's an important number. Those are the numbers that would really be of interest to me. And those numbers are not normally being reported very easily on most of the different podcasts or most of the different newspapers. And I go to Drudge, I go to Fox News, I go to a few places like that. And it's also hard to know exactly who to trust because some nurses have been fired from the hospital, working in the hospitals, because they've been complaining about the fact that the way the numbers are being put together as to how many have the coronavirus and die of it are inaccurate. And so now they've turned around and they're suing the hospital. So, who can you trust? Mark Twain has an interesting quote. If you don't read the newspapers, you're uninformed. And if you do read them, you're misinformed. And that was many years ago, and I think that's probably still pretty true today, it appears. I am very, very passionate about health. I have written quite a few books on it over a 25-year period of my life, and I became a naturopath and was able to avoid any need for a medical doctor for over a quarter of a century, over 25 years. And so we are going to have a free video event from July 7th through 15th, which you can register for. And during those years that I have put together a book on what I have learned about health and walking in vibrant health. We're sharing that video in 8 free sessions. So you can learn in 8 sessions what it took me many, many years to learn. And so it's probably would be a really good investment of time, I would think. It's interesting to read some of the government websites as to how many people have died in the last 4 or 5 months compared to a typical the same 4 or 5 months in previous years. And across the nation, 102%, so 2% more have died than in previous years during the same period of 4 months or so. In Florida, because this chart also lists state by state, only 99% of the people have died in these 4 months as opposed to previous years. So death rate's actually down, which is so absolutely startling. This is a government website, government statistics for a 4 month period. So again, the newspapers tell me every day, they scream, be afraid. But man, I look at those numbers and say, less people have died in Florida, the state I live in, than normally die. So yeah, you need to consider, need to decide who you trust. And you need to try to get as facts as well as you can. Okay. So one of the things that I have found, I do have a blog, which I'm going to give you a link to, the 3, 4, 5 health websites that I trust the most in the last 25 years are the ones that I go to that I feel I can trust. My approach to healthcare is 3 steps. Step one is I'm going to always pray and ask for a miracle and gifts of healings as the Bible describes them. That's my first approach to resolving any sort of infirmity. My second approach is to add to it any natural herbs that God says He's given us herbs for the service of mankind. So explore herbs and vitamins and how those could help uh, bring you back to health. And then the third approach, if those two don't work, which those two have worked for me about 98% of the time, the third approach will be to go to the hospital, and or go to a medical doctor, and if necessary, then to the hospital for help there. And I've used all three. Um, even and all three have had a place, and all three have had benefit. Okay, so but that's the order in which I do use them. Currently, I'm 68. I've got no aches. I've got no pains. Everything in my body works. I exercise pretty much every day, probably at least 5 days a week. My wife and I do bike rides, 3.5 miles a day, and on weekends we do 7 or 8 miles. We also do some exercises. Max T3 is one of them, and then we found another new exercise that we enjoy, and I'll give you links to both of those on the bottom here. And also, I'm going to give you a link where you can sign up for this free video series of eight different days where we're running video across the internet on what I have learned about health over the 25 years or so of my life. So, strong immune system will keep you healthy, and there's a lot of ways to have a strong immune system. In that free video series, I'm going to list many ways. I've also written 100 blogs on vibrant health. You can go to our website. I'll give you a link to those too, and you can scroll through any of the topics that appear to of interest to you. Reason I'm wearing my Hardy shirt, a vacation shirt, is because when I did go to the hospital a year ago with a heart attack, which really blew me out of the water because I sure didn't expect anything like that to happen. And they did fix me up, and the Lord has fixed me up, and I am doing perfectly fine today. Um, but when I was there in the hospital and listening to the Lord, He said, "For heaven's sakes, celebrate." And of course, we know the verse in Scripture, "A merry heart does look good like medicine." And He was telling me, "Mark, you really do need to lighten up. You're too intense. You've been too intense all your life. It's put too much stress on your system. You need to learn to party." So my preferred shirt to wear is these kinds of shirts to remind me, "Mark, lighten up, have fun. If you do, it's going to make life work a whole lot better. The anointing will flow better, health will flow better. You'll have more fun." So those are a few of the things I've learned. I invite you to come join us for 8 days and see what you maybe could learn. All right, bless you. This is Mark Berkler signing off.